Niggas and bitches, money and clout are not the same. Make sure you get some money, because clout don't pay bills.
What's up? It's your girl, Area Savage, and I told y'all that I was fucking up with the podcast, but I really been fucking up. But I just had to take this moment to share a current situation going on in my life, and I'm transitioning, so this is crazy. If you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe. My YouTube is Area Savage. My Instagram is Area Savage. Let's get into this shit. So if you've been following me, you've known that I've been in some pretty toxic situations. And for the last year, piggybacking on my last podcast, I said that I was going to do better and start making more material. And I really had the intention of doing that, but it was just a toxic ass person in my life, and I'm still being forced to deal with this individual. So let me just give y'all the story time for today, and that's how I'm gonna start doing these podcasts. Instead of me just having random topics that I speak about or speak upon, I'm just gonna do story times and see if y'all fuck with it. So today's story time is, we're gonna call this person we're gonna call him MP3, because they're always ready to go off about some dumb shit. Alright, so MP3, there's many more stories about this individual, but this is just what happened in today in particular. And I would advise this to anybody that's in this type of situation. If you are dealing with somebody who's abusive, narcissistic, toxic, negative, or all of the above, try to have outlets, because it's hard a lot of times, because when you get into these scenarios, you are isolated and you are by yourself, and you don't do it on purpose. I feel like a lot of times we do that because we want to protect ourselves, and we also don't want people in our business. And it's kind of protecting others around you, because I know for me, when I have shed light on people in my current situation, they get really worried and worked up, and I understand why. So I don't really like to tell people about my business, but on the other half of it, I feel like some of this stuff, like these story times, are good to share, because it adds humor to a very demonic, toxic situation, and it allows for people to relate and to see, like, okay, if this is going on in my life, she handled this way, what should I do? Alright, so MP3 had been staying with me on and off for like the last year, and it didn't happen by choice, it was by force. That's a whole other story. But today, the situation happened. I just quit my job, and my son was home from school. So I got up, did my regular shit, smoked, took care of my business. I went out to make some money. I came back. I wanted to go buy some weed, because I'm like, I'm on a break, might as well. So I go to buy weed, and B3 was like, all right, I know who we can get some weed from. I'm like, all right, fine. So we hop in the car, and when he starts, like, I'm in the house and I'm cleaning up and shit, because he told me maintenance about to come, so I'm trying to clean up. He comes in and was like, oh, he's waiting. I'm like, he's got to irritate. I'm like, okay, I didn't realize he was waiting. That's weird. So I address him about it. I'm like, hey, don't talk to him like that. I didn't know he was waiting. Had I knew he was waiting, I would have came in the car. So we got past that. We got in the car. Go get the weed. Comes back out. On the way back, keep in mind, this individual does not stay with me anymore. He's been in my house like the last couple of days, but he does not stay here. So, and I kept making this perfectly clear, like, okay, you're here, but I'm not sure what you're doing, but you're not staying here. I kept making that like a thing, like a common theme. So it was fresh on his mind. So we're on our way back, and he tells me that he wants to go get some clothes. I'm like, no, we talked about that. You're not bringing clothes to my house, because that's a whole other story time. I'll tell you about that next podcast, but you're not bringing clothes to my house. So he asked me if he can turn down the street to where his people said to go get his shit. But in the midst of asking me, you're still turning as if that's what you're going to do anyway. So I'm like, shit, you might as well, you're going ahead to turn. So we go ahead and turn. I'm like, I really don't want you doing that, because I don't want you at my fucking house. He's like, I'm just getting some shit to shower. I'm like, why can't you shower there? So he doesn't really answer that. Keep in mind, prior to us even getting, let me back up. Before we even got over there, he already told me, like, his people not fuck with him being there. They done gave this nigga a link to a shelter. Like, they're really not wanting him over there. So he thought was gonna happen, he was gonna stay over here on some slick shit. No, not today. Because he has before, and it's been terrible. So Boom, we're there. He takes forever to get his shit. Comes back, he has like a big ass bag. I'm like, well, what are you doing? So, oh no, it's just my bag for me to take a shower. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So he gets in the car, and we're on the way back, but it's taking forever. I'm like, dude, it's not supposed to be taking this long. And I'm annoyed because I'm really trying to get back to making money. I'm trying to smoke and then get back to making bread. Bro, I just ended up going the fuck off. I'm like, this is stupid. I'm like, bro, we weren't even supposed to go to your people's fucking house. He turns around and tells me, but you told me I could. I said, no, I didn't. I told you couldn't, and you went anyway. See, with narcissists, it's never their fault. They're always going to try to flip some shit, but I'm the bitch for that. So I proceeded to tell him, like, nah, dude, you're wrong. You went because you wanted to, and I just said, fuck it, I didn't feel like arguing. Now that we're in the car, it's taking an X amount of time, and you still try to make excuses off of why we even in this situation in the first place. So I'm like, dude, this is some dumbass shit. I was like, why do we have to always argue about shit that you're doing? I was like, really think about that. So I'm basically just going off. I don't remember what the fuck I was saying. I was just like, bro, you're not coming to my shit. Like, I'm not dealing with this bullshit, because he just started with the same old bullshit. So I basically ensued in an argument. It prolonged to the time I got to my house. I really don't remember what all was said. I just know it was a lot of back and forth. And he'll do this thing where he'll be like, I'm not arguing, I'm not saying anything. So it's like, if you're not, then what the fuck am I responding to? And granted, yeah, I was going off and I was verbally attacking him, because at this point, I'm over it. It's been so much that I've been dealing with. And it's like, dude, you don't have a place to stay. No one wants to help you. The least you could do is just be quiet and keep your shit. Not like be quiet, like what I say goes. Be quiet and be considerate, or at least take your lick when you're wrong. They can't do that. So we begin arguing. We pull up into the front of my complex. He's like, you know what? I'm finna get out. I'm like, okay, that's fine. He gets out, so I proceed to get out, take the bag out of my car, and nicely put it on the street. He proceeds to run up to my car and kicks his shit out of the front of my car. Okay, cool, no problem. So I pull up as if I'm about to hit him, but of course I'm not. And he tells me, oh, okay, bet that up. He literally is trying to race me to my house. Not gonna happen on foot. So I get to my house. I don't even go upstairs, because I already know he's trying to go in the house and argue. He proceeds to go upstairs, goes in my apartment now, yelling, calling me a stupid bitch. At the top of the stairs, telling me this is what I wanted to show, etc. Now it turns into I'm bipolar, I'm miserable, I'm not a good parent, etc. I'm like, dude, none of that has anything to do with you being homeless and you barely keeping under a job. At the end of the day, that's nothing really to do with me. And this is my whole point of him being around. I want y'all to understand this. This whole scenario is unnecessary stress. And this individual understands and knows this. This MP3 knows that I don't need him. He knows that I want him. There's nothing that he's doing for me. I'm not gaining. We're not even intimate. So at the end of the day, he's holding on to nothing. So what he does is he tries to verbally lash out to have control and power. But it really doesn't give you control and power, because if you have to do all that, you don't really have power. So he's in my apartment yelling. I'm downstairs. I tell my son to get in the car, because we've been through this before. I don't want my son around this shit. So I tell him to get into the car. He's upstairs. He's still yelling, still screaming. I'm downstairs telling him that I'm going to call the police. He's still not coming out the house. He eventually comes out the house and tells me, like, things that I'm miserable, I'm bipolar, my family helps me and I'm still miserable, all this other shit. Oh, that's what triggered me in the car. He was telling me that I was shitting on him by telling him about his situation. See, that's another thing they do, like to play victim. If I'm telling you your reality, that's not shitting on you. Shitting on you is you shitting on you. Is you not doing better for yourself. If you are consistently in a reality that you don't like and you do nothing day to day to change it, it's never going to change. There's a thing on my wall that says dreams don't work unless you do, and that's a real fucking fact. So in a lot of these scenarios, when you like take away all the drama, go in the room. When you take away all the drama, you can really go in. When you take away all the drama, you can really understand the silver lining in a lot of this shit. Because a lot of this shit is negative, but it's always a lesson. So, back to the story. He's still in my apartment yelling, going off. He does the weirdest shit. He proceeds to get the trash and takes it out. And is telling me to shut up. And then coming in and out of my house. And I'm still not in my apartment. Because I'm not in the mood to do that shit. So, I remember, oh, he has my cards. I'm like, I need my Cash App card. So, he's like, I don't have them. I'm like, yeah, you do. So, he eventually gives me that. And I proceed to take all of his shit out of my car. He's now in and out of my car telling me to go at my house. I'm like, no, this is my apartment. That's my parking space. It's my car. I have the leisure and right to be in front of here. You don't. You're considered loitering, and if you're bothering me, that's stalking. So at the end of the day, what you're saying is really not making any sense. It's kind of dumb. He's still not moving from the car. Okay, that's no problem. So the whole point was for him to get out of my house, which happened. So I told my son to go upstairs. I go upstairs. I proceed to shut the door, give my son the phone. And I'm outside basically trying to block him from coming up the steps. I'm not in the mood for the bullshit. His phone is still in my house. And then he asked me where his bag is. I tell him I have no idea where his bag is. I didn't touch any of his belongings. He's delusional. When I came in my house, I realized he had put his bag on the side of the couch, thinking that I would not see it. So I proceeded to put it outside, and I brought it downstairs. Come in the house, roll up the smoke, make this podcast. He proceeds to put his shit back onto my porch, so I got to put on a kind of a flex. I told him, bruh, I done already called the police, so if you want to, get your shit messed up, that's on you. But at the end of the day, what you're doing is unnecessary. You don't live here. You don't have belongings here. You got a ride here. Need you to find a ride somewhere else. Really nothing to talk about. But the moral of this story is that no matter how much someone wants to destroy or to be negative or to put their shit on you, you got to fight for that shit. And when I say fight, meaning you have to stand your ground and for your boundaries. If you don't like somebody raising their voice with you every time they do it, get in on their ass. If you don't like somebody talking to you a certain way, in a certain tone because it bothers you, get in on them. And not in a way where it's tearing them down, but let them know, hey, I don't like it. And if they keep doing it, that person does not respect you. And that's a repeated thing with this dynamic. This person is consistently testing my boundaries. And when the boundaries are firm and he understands that he cannot go against them, that's when the narcissistic rage comes in. That's why I call them MP3. Because they go off like guns and there's no stopping it. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really give me any type of gain because it's very tiring. Like the entire time I was shaking and really irritated. But at the end of the day, I'm glad that I can podcast this out and get it out. But this was just another fucking crazy ass story time. But the moral of this one is that, you can be a friend to people, but you never want to extend yourself to the point where you're losing yourself. Where you're not cool with yourself. Where you're not accepting your growth. A person can stunt your growth from being around and not progressing. You don't ever want that to be the case. So what you do want to do and what you do want to realize is that you have the power of creating your reality. You can take the formula from these people. A narcissist literally creates their own reality and they dwell in it 24/7. There's no reason why you can't do that, but in a positive way. If you don't want negative people in your life, don't have them in your life. If you don't want to be around negative shit, don't be around negative shit. Don't have negative thoughts. It's a practice, but it's synchronicity. Once you master that, you'll see what gravitates towards you. So now that I'm at a level where I understand my boundaries and how they affect me and my triggers, I'm being tested. That's another step. Okay, it's like God's like, okay, now you get what triggers you and what makes you upset, but how long are you willing to push it until you get to the point where you can't take it? And this is a scenario where I'm not taking it anymore, and the person has consistently tried to manipulate and get over, and it's consistently not worked. So at the end of the day, the point of this story time again was to hopefully influence somebody to look at their scenario from a different perspective, and for people to know that you're not the only one going through some weird ass shit. And if you like this story time, let me know. Please, again, subscribe. You can't like or comment. This is not fucking YouTube, but I do have a YouTube. It's Areas of Savage. Same shit is on here. I appreciate you rocking with me. This is my podcast. Can't make this shit up. And until the next one, I'm gonna fuck with y'all.